Alrighty, hello YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cryptic Coil, and this is part two of my most recent epic book haul. Okay, so I abruptly ended my first video because I had gone through my middle grade books, and now and I started to get into YA, and then I just looked at the stack of books that I have over here, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is going to be a long video. Why don't I just use that first video as the middle grade stuff, and then the second video as the YA stuff, and possibly do a third video with the adult stuff. So that's the decision that I made, and that's going to be the cadence of this book haul. Let me go ahead and have another sip of my beer because it's, Saturday night. All right. So, I if you watch the other video, towards the end, I showed off the fact that I found some Terror Academy books, which was super exciting. This one is called School Spirit. I read the synopsis and the tagline in the last video towards the end. I think that last video was like 27 minutes long, so it was like, towards the last couple minutes of that video. But this is awesome. I am so stoked to have another Terror Academy book. All right, then I also showed off the fact that I picked up another copy of The Fog by Caroline B. Cooney, but this is the vintage OG cover. And I think that this might even be a first printing, but based on the barcode on the back, and let me look at the copyright page here just for fun. No, it might not be a first printing, but anyway, this book was from August of 1989, so it's almost as old as me. It's a 37-year-old book, and it actually tells you what order they go in. So it's book number 1 is The Fog, book number 2 is The Snow, book number 3 is The Fire. And I already have a modern reprint with a different cover that I'll use as a reading copy, and I'll just have this as my collector's copy. All right. Then in my last book haul video that I did, not the middle grade one, but the one from like a month ago, I showed off that I bought this one online, and it's another Carmen Adams book called Song of the Vampire. I love that cover. I do intend to read this one this year. I love this cover. I want to be a vampire so bad. All right. Well, I got my tax returns and decided, why don't I just go ahead and buy me another copy for reading? And since this one's, kind of in danger of having a whole corner torn off, I'm going to have to fix that with like Scotch tape or packing tape. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this one this year. I am going to prioritize it. With a cover like that, I kind of have to. Then another Terror Academy book, 16 Candles. I'm not sure what number this is in the series. Let's look at the thing for, maybe there's a bibliography. The Terror Academy series, Lights Out, Stalkers, 16 Candles. So Spring Break is coming in September. So I own Spring Break. That's book number 4, 16 Candles. This is book number 3. So let's go ahead and read the the tagline and the synopsis. So here's the tagline: "You're sweet 16 and you're mine." Pretty creepy, but I respect it. Okay, so here's the synopsis on the back. 16 Candles. Once she was a quiet wallflower. Now, about to turn 16, Kelly Langdon has slimmed down, shaped up, and become one of Central's most popular students. She's finally put her parents' mysterious deaths behind her and come out of her shell, but a killer still stalks her, and now Kelly's next date may be her last. That sounds pretty good. I bet you I already know what the twist is, though. All right. And one more Terror Academy book for you. Oh, and this one is in such good condition, too. 16 Candles has that, torn or that creased cover, but that creased corner on the cover. This one's and the other one are a lot better, but it's called Science Project. And there's just a messy laboratory, but it also looks like something ominous is going to happen or has happened. And the tagline on the front, man, oh, this is so good. E equals MC scared. Respect. All right. Here's the synopsis on the back. Clark Thompson is a nerd, a science whiz who spends his time alone with his secret experiments. When Andrea Hill needs help in biology, Clark offers to tutor her, and she finds he's nice and fun to be around. Then the guys in Andrea's cool crowd make Clark the butt of a cruel joke, but the joke's on them when Clark unleashes the things that came to life in his laboratory. Dope. That reminds me of this episode of Saved by the Bell season 2 where Kelly was in danger of failing science, so she gets Screech to tutor her, but Zach and Slater are competing with each other for Kelly's affections because they both want her to be their girlfriend. But Kelly's kind of starting to develop a thing for Screech of all people. That's kind of what this reminds me of. I'd like to read this, but it's in such good condition. I need to find a beat up copy on the internet and designate it a reading copy. I don't really find these out in the wild. I found one, Spring Break, and it's beaten to a bloody pulp. I don't want to ruin it. All right. This was super exciting. I don't own any of these books, but I got The Nightmare Club, book number 1 by Richard Lee Byers, and it's Joyride. And look at that cover. I love it. The Nightmare Club. Join if you dare. Free tattoos club offer inside. The tattoos are still in here. Oh my gosh. It's also a Z Fave YA horror book. I don't own too many of these. I have that one Screamers from one of my more recent book hauls. I have Witch Hunt by Wendy Corsi Straub. I have The Talisman. Forgot who the author of that one was. And that's about it. I don't really have that many Z Fave horror books, or Z Fave Y horror books. And that's kind of my new obsession, but they're so expensive. The vintage YA horror Z Faves, they are so expensive nowadays. And so I'm very, very, very proud to have this thing. I know that was probably a little much, but listen, this stuff excites me, okay? All right, cheers to me. I start swirling the beer like it's wine. All right. Not sure what's going on with this. I don't think I'm going to read the synopsis on the back because this isn't horror, but it's called Birdland by Tracy Mack. And it sounds pretty good. Seems like it's about, two brothers, two adolescent brothers in New York City, and It sounds like an adventure-y, like a coming-of-age journey of self-discovery. It does sound pretty good. And I actually could see myself reading it if I'm in the mood for something non-horror. Uh, I'd never heard of it, but I did like the synopsis on the back when I found it. All right. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and move this out of the way. All right, here's a duplicate. I found another copy of last year when I got my tax returns. I ordered this, big, expensive lot of point horror books, and among them was The Surfer by Linda Cargill, because this is like one of the more rare ones. And from time to time, like an affordable copy will pick up or pop up on eBay. But oftentimes, like especially if they're in mint condition, these are going to be on the more expensive end. Well, I found this one, and it's in a pretty good condition. I would call it very good condition, maybe even near mint. But there is a little bit of wear and tear and discoloration on the cover. It's not that bad. I mean, not that bad at all. But in that haul from last year, my copy of The Surfer is in like mint condition. And since this one is in less than mint condition, guess who has a reading copy now? And this looks like a great summer read. All right. All right, so I own a number of Joan Lowry Nixon books, and this year I'd actually like to get into some Joan Lowry Nixon, because this is another author that I've never read, but this one looks pretty cool. And again, another summer read. I think I'm like more of a winter guy because I like to wear, clothes. Like I like to, in the winter, you tend to wear more clothes than you do in the summer. And, I like my jackets and stuff. But I think I'm going to just like go with the energy this year. And so when summer rolls around, I think I'm going to be all about summer. And this might be something that I might want to read this summer. It's called The Island of Dangerous Dreams. There's no tagline on the front, but let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. Andrea didn't want to accompany her aunt and a group of privileged people on a boat trip to the Bahamas to look at valuable artifacts. But she's stuck there now and angry when she realizes that this is a stolen artifact. All the adults want to own it, but Andrea knows it should be returned to the Peruvian government. Then the object disappears and someone is found murdered. Who will be next? That sounds pretty good. Sounds okay, you know. I don't know if I'm as eager to read this as I am The Surfer by Linda Cargill, but who knows? All right, and then here's another Joan Lowry Nixon book, and it's called Playing for Keeps, and I'm not sure if this is one that I already own, but it's an ex-library copy, and it has like a protective adhesive clear thing over the front cover, and it's got some library markings on it, so I definitely have a reading copy now. But it's called Playing for Keeps, and I like it. Let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. Rose Ann can't believe her good luck. Her grandmother, Glory, needs a last-minute roommate for her bridge tournament cruise to the Caribbean. But Glory doesn't really need a companion. She's eager for Rosie to meet her friend's grandson, Neil. Once Rosie is aboard the ship, though, someone else catches her eye, a boy her own age, who introduces himself as Ricky Diago. But after the ship sails, something doesn't seem quite right. Rosie sees Ricky's uncle, Mr. Diago, but not Ricky. Even stranger, Neil swears that Mr. Diago is actually a famous Cuban baseball player from the Cincinnati Reds. When Rosie is approached by another boy who claims he's Ricky Diago, she finds herself caught in a high-stakes game of international intrigue with life-or-death consequences. Who is the real Ricky Diago, and how far will Rosie go to help him? So this is more of a suspense thriller. Uh, and it sounds interesting. I, I right now, I mean, I'm really feeling like I lean more towards horror, but I'm just gonna keep going. All right. So then I found another Joan Lowry Nixon novel called The Haunting, and I don't know if I already own this one or not. But there's no tagline on the front. Here's the creepy looking cover. Let's go ahead and read the synopsis. The walls whisper, the ceilings shriek. No one can survive a night of terror inside Grey Moss. The old plantation house has been in Leah's family since the Civil War, but it's been possessed for generations by a malicious spirit, and Leah's family has always stayed far away. Now, her parents have decided to move into Grey Moss, and Leah must either change their minds or chase away the horror lurking inside the old house. Using clues from her great 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 grandmother's diary and an old copy of Favorite Tales of Edgar Allan Poe, Leah must discover what or who the evil wants. Haunted house story sounds excellent. Out of all these Joan Lowry Nixon books, this is the one I want to read first. Awesome. Okay. And then I do have one more Joan Lowry Nixon, but it's called oh, I don't have this one actually. It's called Spirit Seeker, and this is an ex library hard copy. I don't have this one, but this is awesome. Okay. And let's go ahead. It's called Spirit Seeker. Look at that cover. Look at the look on that girl's face. Very cool. So let's read this synopsis now. Holly Campbell's life has suddenly become a newspaper headline nightmare. Her friend Cody's parents have just been found murdered, and Cody is the prime suspect. Even Holly's father, the police detective in charge of the investigation, thinks Cody is guilty. Holly knows she must help her friend. Will a mysterious psychic help her solve the case and prove Cody's innocence? Okay, so this sounds pretty cool too. So if one of these could very well be my first Joan Lowry Nixon book, we'll see. All right. All right. What's this thing? All right, so this is a book called The Boy from the Basement by Susan Shaw. And oh boy, this is going to have some Jack Ketchum, The Girl Next Door vibes, watch. All right, here's the synopsis on the back. The punishment. For Charlie, the cold, dark basement is home. Father has kept him locked in there as punishment. Charlie doesn't intend to leave, but when he is accidentally thrust outside, he awakens to the alien surroundings of a world to which he's never before been exposed. Though haunted by hallucinations, fear of the basement, and his father's rage, Charlie must find a way to survive in this new world. He has escaped his past, but his journey has just begun. I don't know. I mean, doesn't that, kind of have some like James and the Giant Peach kind of vibes to the storyline? But child abuse is a huge trigger of mine. It's a huge trigger of mine. I don't know if I can do this one. All right. Here's one by Paul Zindel. It's a Laurel Leaf fiction book. It's called The Gadget. And you can see an atomic or a nuclear explosion reflecting on the sunglass lens or eyeglass lens of some guy. The only reason I picked this one up is because it mentioned Los Alamos, New Mexico, and I live in New Mexico, and Los Alamos is famous for having like a laboratory, and there's all kinds of rumors about what happened at the Los Alamos National Labs. It's even been on Joe Rogan and talk of aliens because New Mexico has a link to aliens. And so I just picked this book up for that reason, but I don't intend to read it. All right. Okay, here's an exciting one for me. Okay, so I already have like 2 or 3 copies of this book. It's called Tower of Evil by Mary Main. And if you watch Cameron Chaney's channel, he has a book called he has a video titled "My Rarest YA Horror Novels" or something like in that vein, and he shows this book in that video. And then when I started my channel and started doing book hauls, I was really excited to have found this book in the early days of my channel. Well, I have another book by this author, Mary Main, and this one is called The Deadliest of Friends, and that sounds pretty cool. And then the tagline on the front reads, "Is someone Megan trusts a murderer?" And look at this cover. Very nostalgic looking, very late 80s, early 90s looking. I mean, look at her. Look at these dudes. Look at that house in the background. Geez, that is nice. That's not a house, that's a castle. All right, let's read this synopsis. What evil lurks at Sapphire Lake? When Megan returns to beautiful Sapphire Lake for the summer, she discovers that an old friend, Brad, has been killed in a suspicious explosion. Determined to find out the truth about Brad's death, she soon learns that the explosion was not an accident, and now Brad's killer is taking aim at her. Could Brad's best friend, Darren, be a suspect? Darren was envious of Brad's blonde good looks and easy style. Brad had even been offered a role in a film, something Darren had been working hard for. Was the mysterious crystal reading Julie somehow involved in Brad's death, or was the killer taking revenge on Brad for his sometimes thoughtless actions, such as his killing of an eagle? Megan must unearth the truth quickly before the killer strikes again. That sounds good. It does. I think I might read Tower of Evil first, though. All right, this one seems interesting. It's called The Sherwood Ring by Elizabeth Marie Pope, and this is another Puffin book printings. And it's got a pretty cool looking cover. You see all these like historical people, and then you see the face of this modern girl. And the tagline on the front reads, "Sometimes the past really can come to life." And then the synopsis on the back reads, "Peggy never thought that a ghost would teach her about love." Newly orphaned Peggy Graham is caught off guard when she first arrives at her family's ancestral estate. Her eccentric uncle Enos drives off the handsome British scholar she's befriended, then leaves Peggy to fend for herself. But she is not alone, for the house is inhabited by the ghosts of Peggy's colonial ancestors. Against a backdrop of spies and intrigue battles plotted and foiled, Peggy watches as centuries-old romance unfolds between Barbara Graham and a clever British officer, Peaceable Sherwood. History has never been so exciting, especially because the ghosts are leading Peggy to a romance of her own. That does sound interesting, but I don't know if I'm really in the mood for romance right now. Sounds interesting though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be itching to read this one anytime soon. I just know. All right. So this is a copy that I found, I want to say last year, and I showed it in a book haul. Okay, and it's The Fire by Caroline B. Cooney. Okay, and it's beat up. The cover is on the verge of falling off, but it was my only copy. Well, now I have a collector's copy in like mint or near mint condition. Very excited. I don't know if I have a copy of The Snow or not. Oh, and then here's a duplicate. So I have another copy of Jane McFadden's Hide and Seek. This is one of 2 novels that Jane McFadden has written for the Point Horror series. I am currently still reading Be Mine, which is kind of a Valentine's Day themed slasher, and I started reading it for the month of February, but I've only been able to read for a few minutes at a time on Saturdays because last week was, kind of brutal. But look out for an upcoming review of Be Mine by Jane McFadden, and if I like it, and we'll see, I might end up also checking out Hide and Seek because I now have a backup copy or a duplicate. All right, so this was pretty exciting for me. So I've shown you guys these books before. Okay, so I have an American point horror copy of The Dead Game by A. Bates. And then I have the British copy with the British looking cover of The Dead Game. And they both look really cool. I don't know which one I like better. I think I might like the American one a little bit better. But they're both cool. All right, so I've shown you guys these books before. But if you watched my most recent Point Horror collection video, you'll see that I owned this copy of The Cemetery. Well, guess what? I didn't even know there was a book called The Cemetery because in the US, I would have known it as The Ripper. It has a Freddy Krueger looking glove on the cover of both books. And they both look like cool books, or both have cool covers. That was super exciting. I haven't read anything from D.E. Atkins, but I'm curious about this one. So let's just read the tagline and the synopsis. Don't look behind you. That's the tagline. Okay, the synopsis reads, for them, the game was over. For him, it had just begun. It all started out as a party, and then there was a game of hiding and seeking, a game of hunting and weeping. And before anyone knew what was happening, someone was killed. The game was over, and the only suspects they had were each other, unless there was someone else out there, someone who was still playing the game. That sounds pretty good. It does. So that was exciting to get to add some more books to my Point Horror collection. And that's it. Okay, that is all I got for YA horror books, and this video is about the same length as the middle grade video that I had uploaded earlier, and so I think that this was probably the right format for this, because if you want to watch all of them, you can go ahead and watch all of them. If you're only interested in the adult or the YA or whatever, you can do it like that too. This is just my way of trying to respect your time. All right, well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Everyone who watches my videos and comments on my videos, I love you guys, and you guys rock, and I just appreciate that I get to share these things with you, and I appreciate the fact that I get to have you as an audience so that we can enjoy these things together. All right, take care, horns up, peace out, and I'll go ahead and also do another video on my most recent adult horror books that I've hauled recently. All right, take care.